can rock. And yet I feel like a haberdasher for the frantic. Bellows collapsed into his chair, clutching his stomach. His acid reflux was currently strong enough to dissolve a brass hull. Just my luck. I get a message from a contact at Fleet Command. Grand Admiral Stoneface Sterling is arriving today on a sneak inspection. Bumble's knees knocked together audibly. Stoneface? The man who demoted his own mother for having a dusty mantelpiece? The same, Bellows groaned. And look at this place. The sinks in the Petty Officers Club are backed up. There are unauthorized goats grazing on the parade ground. And Rogue Randall and his band of cutthroats are probably running a floating casino as we speak. I'm the commanding officer, Bumble, not a plumber. Who did Sterling expect to find in my office? Tokyo Rose? Some exotic saboteur? Bellows fumbled for his bottle of indigestion pills, popping them like candy. My stomach acid could start a steam engine. Bumble, I need out. If I was sick genuinely, medically incapacitated, I could appoint an acting base commander, someone who would take the brunt of Sterling's wrath. Someone who would inevitably humiliate themselves so thoroughly that my own mediocrity would look like brilliance by comparison. A slow, devious smile spread across Bellows' face. Randall. I'll put Rogue Randall in charge. With him and those hooligans running the base, they'll turn this place into a Roman orgy in 20 minutes. Sterling will walk in, see the chaos, and execute Randall on the spot. It's brilliant. Bumble, call the medic. Tell them I'm dying. Tell them it's the black spot, or at least a very aggressive case of the vapors. Chapter 2. The Happy Illness. Commander Rogue Randall was a man who viewed naval regulations as polite suggestions, much like, please keep off the grass. He sat on the deck of the SS Misfit, his high-speed privateer vessel, watching Bumble stumble toward the pier. Commander Randall, Bumble wheezed. The Commodore. He's passed, or passing. Or at least, he's making a very loud noise about it. Randall stood up, adjusting his weathered cap. Bellows is sick? Since when? He was healthy enough to scream at me for 3 hours this morning because I traded a crate of gunpowder for a crate of pineapples. Minutes later, they were in the infirmary. Bellows was draped over a cot, groaning with a theatricality that would have made a Shakespearean lead blush. Oh, the pain, Randall, Bellows moaned. The doctors, they don't know. It could be anything. A rare tropical malaise. Or perhaps I swallowed a compass. I must appoint an acting commander. Someone brave. Someone expendable. Sir, I'm sure Lieutenant Carpenter would be happy to. Randall started. Carpenter is a boob, Bellows shouted, briefly forgetting he was dying before collapsing back with a gasp. No, it must be you, Randall, and because I am a generous soul, I am appointing Bixby here as your acting executive officer. Bumble's eyes went wide. Me? An exec? Oh, sir, you won't regret this. I'll run this base with the precision of a Swiss watch. I know, Bellows whispered, closing his eyes. I know I won't regret it. As soon as Randall and Bumble left the room, Bellows sat up and performed a small jig. He fell for it. Chapter 3. The Sultan and the Strategic Disguise. Life as the acting base commander suited Randall about as well as a tuxedo suited a shark. By the second hour, the office was a disaster. The phone was ringing off the hook, the sinks were still backing up, and the garter belts had finally arrived, except they were the wrong color, leading to a near mutiny by the nursing staff. Skip! A crewman shouted, bursting in. A message from Fleet. A very important person is arriving. The Sultan of Marami and his 3 daughters. A sultan? Bumble squeaked. We don't have any silk. Or incense. All we have is salted pork and some old rum. The Sultan of Marami was a man of immense dignity and even more immense luggage. He arrived with his 3 daughters, who were veiled and silent, looking like 3 exotic birds trapped in a naval cage. I am Karim, the Sultan announced, his voice booming through the humid air. I travel with my most valuable possessions. My daughters, if any man dares to debase their dignity, he shall answer to me, and my sword. Bellows, watching from the sickbed window through binoculars, cackled. Just wait. Randall will try to throw a party. He can't help himself. He'll offend the Sultan will complain to the admiral, and poof, no more Randall. He was right. Randall, in an effort to be hospitable, had authorized a traditional island greeting. Unfortunately, his crew's idea of a traditional greeting involved a lot of fermented fruit juice and a hula dance, performed by sailors in grass skirts because the local dancers were on strike. As the Sultan sat down for dinner, Bellows emerged from his illness like a phoenix from the ashes. "Admiral Sterling, look at the disgrace. Hula girls in the air raid shelter. The commander is carousing while the base falls to ruin." But Randall was faster. When Bellows swung open the doors to the air raid shelter to reveal the orgies, he found only the crew performing a very intense, very boring fire drill. "Fire drill, 100% successful, sir," Bumble shouted, holding a bucket of water. The Sultan looked at Bellows with disdain. "Is this man your commander? He keeps shouting about hula girls in the laundry. I believe the war has turned his brain to mush." Grand Admiral Sterling, a man whose face appeared to be carved from a particularly grumpy mountain, turned his icy gaze on Bellows. "Commodore, you look like a man suffering from combat fatigue. Perhaps a long rest in the psychiatric ward is in order?" Chapter 4. The Dentist and the Laughing Gas. The defeat only fueled Bellows' obsession. He decided that if he couldn't get Randall fired for incompetence, he would get him for insanity. But first, he had a toothache. Randall, meanwhile, was at the dentist himself. "New painkiller, Rogue," the doctor said, holding a tank. "Nitrous oxide, laughing gas. Makes you feel no pain." Randall left the dentist's office in a state of euphoric hysteria, giggling at the sight of a passing seagull. His crew watched him with concern. "The skip's got the giggles," the crewman noted. "Hey, if Bellows felt that way, he'd probably promote us all to admirals, just for the fun of it." A plan was hatched. They managed to switch the air supply in Bellows' office with a tank of nitrous oxide just as a fitness board was arriving to evaluate the crew's discipline. Commodore Bellows sat behind his desk, ready to sign the papers that would strip Randall of his rank. "Randall, you're finished. Kaput. I'm going to send you to the coal mines of..." Suddenly, Bellows stopped. He sniffed the air. A giggle escaped his lips. Then another. Within minutes, the Commodore was rolling on the floor, pointing at the fitness board members and howling with laughter. "Look at his mustache." Bellows shrieked, pointing at a high-ranking admiral. "It looks like a dead squirrel." "Chucky-Wucky, you're a squirrel man." The fitness board was not amused. "Binghamton, have you lost your mind? You're in disgrace." "Oh, stay on detention, you silly goose." Bellows laughed, trying to tickle the admiral. Randall stepped in, looking grave. "Terrible, sir. Combat fatigue. The Commodore sees squirrels everywhere. I'd better get him back to the hospital." Chapter 5. Goose, the alligator, and the missing payroll. Note, PK. The ultimate confrontation occurred over the base payroll. $62,000 in small, unmarked Imperial credits had been delivered to the base. Bellows, desperate for a win, had marked the bills and set a trap. He left the payroll in a conspicuous place, hoping Randall's crew would swipe it. "The cheese is in the trap," Bellows whispered to Bumble. "Now we just wait for the rats." However, the Azure Archipelago was home to more than just pirates. It was home to Gus, a 6-foot-long alligator with a sophisticated palate for Bumble's mother's homemade peanut butter sandwiches. While Randall's crew was distracted by a beach luau, Gus, the alligator, had waddled into the supply hut. Finding no sandwiches, he had settled for the next best thing, a leather bag that smelled faintly of the Commodore's expensive cologne. "Skip!" Bumble shouted, running toward the misfit. Gus ate the captain." "What?" Randall blinked. "Gus ate Bellows? Well, I hope he has some antacids." "No!" Bumble wheezed, holding up Bellows' empty wallet. "Gus came into my shack with this in his mouth. The captain's ID is in it. That's all that's left of him. Nabada, Nabada." The crew began to mourn. They even started a collection for a wreath. But then, Bellows himself appeared, looking very much alive and very much enraged. "You thieves! You pirates! Bellows screamed. You stole the payroll. I found my ID card in Bumble's shack.